Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a lovely, humid, overcast Tuesday. Uh, that particular moment that doesn't happen too often in Steve's day when everything seems tamped down and right. I'm on the fainting couch. I'm feeling okay. I've got my little bean over my shoulder who has been walked and peed and pooped. She has greeted mailmen. She has greeted strangers on the street. She has yelled at other dogs to watch their P's and Q's. And she is now content. For a while, I am content. The windows are open. My two plants are still alive and thriving. And the plates that I will need to spin later in the day are still sitting on the table. So I'm in that calm moment. My squirrels have been fed. My sparrows have been fed. All is well. So I thought we'd go through mail. I'm feeling a little cocky. Our last mail haul went fine. I think if I control myself, we will do just fine for this mail haul. We won't fly off the handle. And anything, it's a dry day. I mean, it's very humid. It's 90% humidity. And I remember a couple of days ago, I said in one of my intermittent, old man leans on back fence weather reports that I was hoping that the frontal system was coming in and that would bring a lot of rain would take the humidity with it, that everything would dry out after that. I forgot when I was saying that last summer I said that every single day of every single week, and the humidity never went below 85% all summer long. It was a Bolivian jungle here all summer long last year, even when it wasn't hot. I don't see any reason why that isn't going to be true now, so I don't expect that. But nevertheless, today is at least dry in terms of precipitation. It's heavy, thick clouds, but it's at least not raining. And it looks to me like Boston has a large amount of intermittent rain in the future, a solid week of it. Not pouring every day, not for sure that you will ever know when it's going to be pouring. So I think the Bean and I are once again going to have a situation where we are caught in the rain on our walks often. Last week, that happened at least 10 times. It looks like we're headed into more of that. Probably because we go out whenever she wants to. My answer is the same as yours should be. An absolute yes, an unconditional yes. I deprive her of the freedom to come and go as she pleases. And I wouldn't subject her to a postage stamp backyard that she's bored with, where you are going to put her out, close the door, separate yourself from her, not interact with her in any way, but she's not going to interact with anything else either. It's just the prison yard. I don't do that to a dog, and I don't wait. I don't tell them, oh no, I don't ever do anything like that. So we go out a lot. We go out whenever she wants to. Although I can't help but note, with a tiny bit of melancholy, she doesn't want to as often as she used to. She's perfectly okay to sleep for the whole of an afternoon as long as she's near me, within sight of me, or actually touching me. So anyway, let's look at the mail and see what we have here. We've got 3 packages. That isn't enough to get us into trouble. I'm sure it isn't enough. So what is this first one? Oh, what have we got here? I must have been reached out to by the author for this. I don't remember it. But that's all right. I get reached out by a lot of authors. But anyway, this looks great. This is a novel. This is historical fiction. This is Tides of Acadia by Philip Daigle. So this is it looks like that is the Jeanne d'Arc. It looks like this is a Napoleonic era seafaring adventure. Let's see what we have here. The author is an American author from the picturesque state of Maine. Picturesque is one word. Some of the things your government's doing up there, oh man, very, very worrying. And also, bucket loads of ticks. That's what you do. If you go for a walk in the Maine has utterly gorgeous wilderness. The coastline goes on forever and is otherworldly in its beauty. But also the interior is amazing as well. But if you go hiking anywhere on the coastline except wading in the surf or anywhere in the interior, you ought to just cut to the chase, fill a garden bucket with live ticks and just dump them over your head. Just go ahead and do that right away. He is best known for his profound exploration of the region's history and culture in his captivating books Tides of Acadia and the Acadian Oliver, or Olivier. I was hoping you didn't write that. It's a little bit patting yourself on the back. His work reflects a deep connection with his roots, coupled with an ability to engage readers with stories that resonate with authenticity and emotional depth. Born and raised in the rugged beauty of Maine, the author's childhood was steeped in rich history and timeless folklore of his homeland. I point out that is the Dangler. The author's childhood was not born and raised in the deep beauty of Maine. The author was, but I know what you mean. His favorite story was Longfellow's Evangeline, a narrative that deeply moved him and influenced his literary journey. Wow, that's good news. It's terrific storytelling there and a great ear for language. I wonder if that'll be true in this book. This poignant tale of Acadian lovers separated on their wedding day during the Great Expulsion sowed the seeds of his fascination with Acadia, the region that once encompassed parts of Maine and Canada's maritime provinces. And this is the author's second book, Tides of Acadia. It is a meticulously researched and beautifully narrated journey into the past, delving into the historical, cultural, and natural landscapes of this region. Wow, it sounds like you Maine people have got to have this thing. Anybody else? I mean, it looks, from the cover, I'm assuming there's a lot more to offer here, but you Maine readers have got to have this. The book received critical acclaim for its compelling storyline and insightful perspective, positioning Dago as a leading voice in historical region and regional literature. Wait, Tides of Acadia has already received acclaim? Am I getting an older book? No, it says 2023. It hasn't received acclaim from me. It's the only kind of acclaim that matters. Let's see here. His first book, The Acadian, Olivier, explores the Acadian legacy through the life of the eponymous Oliver. It's a treatment to Dago's narrative prowess, weaving together personal historical narratives to paint a vivid picture of life in Acadia. His work goes beyond the realm of traditional historical literature. He infuses his storytelling with a profound understanding of human nature and a palpable love for his homeland. Oh, well, but traditional historical fiction does that too. His work serves as a bridge between the past and the present, illuminating the enduring spirit of the Acadian people and their lasting connection to the land they call home. All right, okay, all right, well, you get the point. I think the next paragraph credits him with the discovery of penicillin. All right, so what have we got here, though? The back really doesn't tell us much about the book, does it? Oh, it has an inscription from the author. Okay, so this didn't come from the publisher. This came from the author. But I wonder if we can... Oh, well, okay. There's a little bit of an introduction here. This book is a riveting historical drama based on true stories set in the early 17th century. When the untamed lands of Acadia, modern-day eastern Canada, were a contested territory between the French and the English and the indigenous people who inhabited the region. At the heart of this tale are three remarkable individuals: resourceful French adventurer Charles Latour, fiercely independent Francois Jacquelin, and ambitious naval officer Menu D'Aulnay. As their stories intertwine, they navigate a complex web of love, loyalty, and betrayal, with the future of Acadia hanging in the balance. So there's a naval officer in here. Okay, this book brings to life a rich tapestry of culture, politics, and personal drama that define this pivotal area in North American history. The central characters are portrayed with depth and complexity, offering a nuanced exploration of their motivations, desires, and sacrifices in the name of love. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, well, there you go. Sounds like a fairly... I don't have an actual publication date for this thing. It sounds like a fairly sweeping historical drama. Very well designed, too. Very nice of the author to inscribe it. Of course, you might already guess what I'm going to say about that summary, which is that Acadia was not contested between three people. It was not contested between three groups. It was contested between the two groups who were going to steal it from its rightful owners. There was no contest between the First Nations people that actually had lived there for thousands of years. That's not contested. They just had their land stolen. That's all. But in terms of the swash and buckle aspect, lots of prime motivation here, lots of potential. So there you go. Tides of Acadia. Once again, I mean, those of you who are historical fiction fans of, the colonial era, the colonializing era, the Napoleonic seafaring era, but especially you Mainers, you got to check this thing out. So there we go. We've got one down, and that was painless. That was completely painless. Let's try this next one. Oh, no. Okay. This next one, oh no, oh goodness gracious. This next one is sealed 60 different ways from Sunday. And once again, I almost want to say that I've had a rule on this channel for a long time that there is an inverse correlation between how hard it is to open a package and how good the thing inside it is. I was willing to hold to that for a long time until I spouted off on that in 2 consecutive mail hauls about packages that were over-secured, and there was tech in each one of them, which I love, which is fantastic. So let's see. This one took a lot of trouble to open up. What is in here? Oh, oh my, okay. Oh, what a blast from the past. Okay, there's a bit of a backstory here. For the great BookTube event, June on the Range, I have been reading Westerns, a Western every night. And I read a Western by a guy named Steve Frazee. And then I read another one. And they weren't all that great. They weren't bad, but they didn't stand out. They, relatively speaking, bored me. I was willing to give this author another bite at the apple because he wrote a book I very much loved a long, long time ago. He wrote a hardcover children's adventure novel for Walt Disney of Zorro. I think to coincide with Zorro being on TV, with the Zorro TV show being on. I think that was the correlation. And I mentioned that I had read that book and that it had fallen apart or been torn apart by beagles or whatever. And one of you was listening and had, believe it or not, a double of that book. And this is it. This is the very book I was talking about. This is an adventure. Look at that. Look at those end papers. An Adventure of Zorro by Steve Frazee. Look at that. To Bobby with love from Grandpa and Grandma. That might as well have been me. This is Zorro by Steve Frazee. This is June on the Range 2023 coming home to roost. Because in my first video for June on the Range 2023, I stipulated what counts as a Western. North of the Rio Grande, south of the Canadian border, west of either the Mississippi or more specially the Missouri River, and east of the Rockies. And Michael K. Vaughan, who is the founder of June on the Range, piped up that plenty of Westerns take place in his California, I believe is the name of the place. And as an example, to show that that is true, he held up a Zorro adventure. So now I have this. Now the sender showed me pictures. I mentioned at the time that Walt Disney, is it Disney that did this? Yes, but Walt Disney, they did, the authorized TV edition, look at that. Okay, so there was a TV show of Zorro, and it was horrible, but this was to go along with that, this fold-out cover here. How amazing to have this back in my hand. And the sender sent me pictures to prove that he had doubles of this, and also sent me pictures of the 4 Walt Disney hardcover kids book Tarzan adventures that I also read until they fell apart in ye olden days. And I mentioned that I would definitely take the double of this book and all the Tarzan books. And he wrote back and said, sorry, the Tarzan books aren't leaving the house. Apparently under the mistaken impression that you all get to choose what you do and do not send to me. Rule number 1 on this channel is don't send Steve a book unless he specifically asks you to. And the horrible Leninist underside of rule number 1 is you must send a book to Steve if he specifically asks you to. So I'm assuming there's a package winging its way to me hot on the heels of this. Or someone is going to feel my wrath. But in the meantime, I get this. How absolutely wonderful. I swear, this community, I swear, it's just how it works for it. Now let's do the last one. We've got through this with no trouble at all. Let's do this last one and see what we have here. Is this from the good folks at Europa Editions? Yes, it is. Okay, so this comes out in October. And this is called The City of the Living. Nothing really to show you here. This is nothing really to show you. The book is called The City of the Living. And it is by Nicola Lagioia, who won the Strega Award. In March 2016, in a nondescript apartment in the outskirts of Rome, Manuel Fuffo and Marco Preto are ordinary young men from good families. They brutally murdered Luca Varani after torturing him for hours. News of the seemingly inexplicable crime sent shockwaves across Rome and beyond. In the weeks and months after the crime came to light, Liggio, the author, conducts interviews, collects documents, and meets with the victims' families, and even starts to correspond with one of the killers. So is this nonfiction? Sharp, hypnotic, devastating, this book is an investigation not just of a crime, but of human nature itself. Of the tension between responsibility and guilt, between the drive to oppress and the desire to be free, of who we are and who we can become. Okay, settle down there, Seymour. It's about a murder. Okay, great. So this is nonfiction. All right, well, this doesn't come out until October. I'll probably wait to get a finished copy from Europa before I dig into this, because that's quite some time from now. I have a lot of other things to read. But true crime, those of you who love, I know there are a lot of you who love true crime a lot more than I do. This sounds really good. It sounds really interesting. So we've got The City of the Living. We've got Walt Disney's Zorro. How incredible. How absolutely amazing that is. And Tides of Acadia. Big, sprawling, historical epic set in Acadia up in Maine. So there you go. That's the mail. No trouble at all. No fuss. No muss. We did wonderfully. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.